Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank where I climb the online VGC 20 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Yesterday we featured a really crazy team with Pokemon like Dedenne, Klinklang, and Weakness Policy, Mudsdale, and Abomasnow, so we'll be playing a couple more games with it today. Once again, you can learn more about this team in the description below. It's created by a Japanese player, and we got to Dynamax Dedenne yesterday, so I'm already happy with our performance, but if we could get some more games in with it, that would be super, super awesome. I also posted a best of 3 against Wolfie earlier today. We recorded one for Panda Global's YouTube channel. Most of the best of 3s that we've been doing recently have been for Panda's channel, so check that out if you haven't already. I've also linked that in the description below, and let's get started with today's episode. As always, if you enjoy, please show support by leaving a like in the video. I'd really appreciate it. We're up against Tentacruel and Talonflame. Okay. So the thing with... I actually think I might have played against this opponent yesterday in practice when I was trying out the team. Because if I remember correctly, they like Dynamax Tentacruel on me turn 1. But then Mudsdale kind of just came in, Dynamaxed, and destroyed it under Trick Room. Might be a different opponent, but I distinctly remember Talonflame, Rhyperior, and the Tentacruel on that team. So let's see. I think Mudsdale's a pretty good route to go with here, but the Ferrothorn's a pretty big threat. Now, Dedenne is not great here because of the potential Lightning Rod Rhyperior. However, if I think my opponent's not going to bring in Rhyperior, of course I could just go Dedenne, Klinklang. So the question is whether that's really a smart move or not. Because given that my opponent has Ferrothorn, I think like Arcanine pretty much needs to come out, because otherwise if it's Iron Defense, Body Press stuff, like we're just not going to have any way against, like to beat it, right? So we kind of need the Heat Wave in the late game. So one approach I could go is Dedenne, Klinklang. Yesterday, as you saw, I went Urshifu, Klinklang a lot with the Abomasnow and the Mudsdale in the back. We have the Balloon here as well. Yeah, I need Arcanine in the back. You know what? I'm going to try Klinklang and Dedenne. It might not be the right move, but we'll give it a shot. Because I think if my opponent doesn't have Rhyperior, Dedenne actually kind of sweeps through the majority of the team. And if they have Rhyperior, one common thing I've been seeing is specifically Talonflame plus Rhyperior with Lightning Rod. Or sorry, Noivern, for example, so you can Tailwind and then you have a fast Rhyperior. But it's going to be Tentacruel Lucario, so I would say that bodes pretty well for Dedenne, so not a bad start. So, question of the day also relates to, you know, cool Electric-type Pokemon. I'm curious what everyone's favorite Electric-type Pokemon is. Let me know in the comments below. One of the problems with Lucario, though, of course, is that it is fighting, so of course it can just go for a Fighting-type attack immediately onto the Klinklang. Now, I would think it's highly unlikely Tentacruel just stays and attacks here. I think you either switch out to Rhyperior if you have it, and the Rhyperior switching, I kind of have to respect it, I think. I want to Dynamax turn 1, though, really badly. The play I'm actually leaning towards here is Protect, Max, and Starfall into Lucario. And the reason for this is because I want to fish for a Rhyperior switch out. It's going to actually give me Tentacruel switching out. Maybe Rhyperior's going into that slot. Okay, yeah. Given that Rhyperior switching in like that, I think Tentacruel definitely has the weakness policy. Or sorry, not the weakness policy. Rhyperior definitely has the Assault Vest. Oh my goodness, what am I saying? Rhyperior has Lightning Rod. I did not get any of that correct. Given what my opponent brought, though, I do think Muds... Sorry, I'm still laughing over just the chain of thoughts there. Now, of course, Tentacruel does have a super effective Max Susan to us, so I'm curious if that's enough to KO us. If we get the one-hit KO here, that'd be huge. But maybe I should have attacked with Klinklang instead. Because I was just worried about like a close combat going into that slot, but if we doubled up and just KO Rhyperior immediately, then Dedenne is in a phenomenal spot. So, let's see. I would have liked to see like Tentacruel Protect there, but it was a safe switch out. And maybe the Protect on my end here is a little too safe. At least we go for Starfall. I don't think this one-shots Rhyperior, but we'll see. Maybe if it doesn't have much bulk, it can. Wow. I am sorry for doubting you, Dedenne. Okay, that's a good start, but the thing is that we're probably still going to take a ton of damage on Dedenne here, unless for some reason my opponent targeted the Klinklang. Should be a ooze into us. Oh, this Geyser. Okay, I don't think this one-shots, right? Just go into Dedenne. And Dedenne takes that like a champ. Okay. We're in business then. That was a pretty good turn 1. I didn't think we would get a one-hit KO there until the Rhyperior switch in, but that's very nice. It's very, very nice. Okay, so we're up, but I don't have great offense in the back. Like, Mudsdale is probably one of the worst Pokemon I've had in the back. If I had Abomasnow, for example, I could so easily switch out into Abomasnow. Obviously, I want to go for Max Lightning right now, but I think it's likely Tentacruel, like, max cards. Ally Switch is pretty safe here, though, to be honest. I don't really see much need to switch out immediately. So I could just go, like, Ally Switch, Max Lightning. But the question is whether I want to predict the guard, basically. Because it's a pretty obvious max guard here, I think. But I don't know. I feel content going for Ally Switch and Lightning this turn. Because now we've gotten rid of the potential Lightning Rod from Rhyperior. The thing is that I think Lucario's probably sashed. Okay, so no Protect. That's good. Unless my opponent read into this. Coaching. Physical Tentacruel? I would think this one-shots, but let's see. Ah, it does hang on with a little bit of HP. Okay. Coaching Lucario. Huh. That looks like Scarf coaching as well? It's policy, okay. But, I mean, you're definitely targeting the Dedenne slot, right? Or what was previously the Dedenne slot. Unless you're making a hard read here, which I guess you could make. Yeah, goes into Kling Kling. Okay, nice. Okay, well, that puts us in a really, really, really good spot now. That defense boost doesn't really matter. I think we bring in Arcanine here. Yeah, we don't want to bring out Mudsdale right now. This also gives us an Intimidate onto the Lucario. Okay. So Tentacruel is clear body, but that doesn't really matter. The other good thing, it's actually Inner Focus as well. Okay. So no Intimidate actually comes out here. But actually, with the Extreme Speed, I don't even know if we KO Tentacruel later on. Because of the defense boost. Huh. That could be scary. I mean, see, Tentacruel didn't max guard last turn. I was thinking it would. Now I feel like it's decently likely it goes for it. It's like a double up on Lucario. Maybe it's fine to just go for Lightning here. And Heat Wave. I'm also confused. I might be misremembering Lucario's base speed. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Choice Scarfed. And it's Ferrothorn. That's exactly why we brought the Arcanine in this match. Now, the downside is the rain is up, so Heat Wave's going to be doing significantly less damage, but oh my goodness, I cannot believe how good Dedenne was. I didn't have faith in it one-shotting the Rhyperior, but like I said, on teams like my opponents, I think those Rhyperiors are often going to be like max speed for Talonflame Tailwind specifically, often carrying something like a Choice Band. Okay, that's really good damage on a Ferrothorn, as it's lefties as well. Okay. Yeah, like, we had to bring Arcanine solely for Ferrothorn. If I had Urshifu in the back, this game would be locked up, so I think bringing Urshifu probably would have been the better call instead of Mudsdale. Lucario comes out now. I mean, you have to KO the Arcanine here, right? So, I mean, I definitely Rising Voltage into Lucario, and I think we just switch Arcanine out. I mean, you won't even KO Arcanine unless you crit anything, right? So maybe it's fine to just stay in and attack, actually. Just Rising Voltage and Heat Wave. Because it's not like Intimidate really matters, because we're not intimidating Lucario. But my opponent just ends up forfeiting. Okay. Well, Dedenne once again pulls out an incredible sweep. I think Mudsdale would have been pretty good under Trick Room for us in this match as well, because if you look at my opponent's team, there was Lucario. I'm just double-checking. I want to double-check Lucario's base speed real quick, because I thought it was 95, right? So when the coaching went off first, I'm like, you're Choice Scarfed, right? But I just want to confirm that. Or it's 90. Sorry, it's even lower than I thought. So that was definitely Scarf Lucario. Which is interesting. Yeah, I wasn't expecting coaching. The coaching didn't... Like, they were probably expecting Dedenne to be physical as opposed to special. So us being special was huge. Unfortunately, we didn't get the one-hit KO, though. But, I mean, in the end, it effectively almost knocked out two Pokemon. And with Kling Klang, like, that turn I could have switched out, but there's really no better play other than to Ally Switch there, I feel like. No point in setting up Trick Room. We're not really doing any damage with our attack. We protected last turn. And I don't want to switch out because switching in anything basically doesn't really do any damage, nor is it very effective there. I do think, though, I could have played that last game better by having Urshifu in the back rather than Mudsdale. I just had to commit to one of my two modes, and I was maybe... Like, the thing is, if I'm bringing Dedenne, I'm probably going to max it, right? So, like, then Mudsdale becomes really, really dead weight. So, yeah. Is this another Dedenne game? I mean... Okay, they have Trick Room. They have Trick Room. If you lead Trick Room, it means you're going with probably Volcarona plus Dusclops. So like I could make a hard call out and go with Urshifu Kling. I don't know. Dedenne looks like okay here, but it's really the speed that concerns me, right? Because they're gonna be faster with Kingdra outside of Trick Room or faster with like Dhelmise under Trick Room. So I'm leaning towards Urshifu Kling lead with Abomasnow Mudsdale in the back. I think this is probably gonna have to be a Mudsdale game. Abomasnow is kind of a must bring here. It actually does a lot of damage with Blizzard. My opponent has a lot of Pokemon that, you know, are relatively weak to it. Plus, they have rain, so we're able to change the weather. Both of that is really, really valuable. And I think even getting just one single Blizzard off when you have the Focus Sash is super important. Especially considering my opponent does have that Dhelmise in the back. It's Volcarona and Urshifu. Okay. This is interesting because we have the Choice Scarf. Most of the times, you know, people don't really anticipate the Scarf here. Volcarona obviously can't protect in front of us, so it's a pretty safe Surging Strikes into that slot. It's Water Urshifu on the opposing end. I don't want to switch out into either of these, but I don't want to set up Trick Room either. So what's my opponent's switch in for Volcarona? Because we get a guaranteed KO onto that slot, basically. Could be Dhelmise. I can't protect right now, so honestly, I think I'm just going to Surging Strikes and Gear Grind the Volcarona slot. I think Volk might stay in here, not expecting the Choice Scarf to just try to get damage onto the Kling. But the thing is, if I set up Trick Room and Dhelmise comes out, it doesn't feel super good. Okay, no Dynamax, no Protects, no Switches, so this should just be a KO onto Volcarona turn 1. Of course, we reveal our Choice Scarf here by being able to outspeed Volcarona, unless Volk isn't max speed, which I guess could be the case as well. So we'll see what option Urshifu goes for. You know, by going for Gear Grind, at least break a potential Focus Sash. It could just be close combat, though. Oh, it's Thunder Punch. Interesting. That's enough for a one-hit KO. Oh, it crits us. I don't know if that crit mattered, to be honest. I mean, if it was Life Orb, I don't think it did, but it doesn't look like it's Life Orb. Thunder Punch. Okay. Man, then if we Trick Roomed here, we'd be in a pretty good spot. I think have to go out into Abomasnow right now, actually. Because we did get rid of Volcarona, which was the biggest threat to Abomasnow, but now we're in a really awkward spot because I didn't get Trick Room up. So Trick Room would have actually been the play there. They're bringing in Kingdra, which makes me think the last one is definitely Politoed. Okay. So this gets really interesting. Because if we get Trick Room up, we'll probably win. But what are the odds we actually get Trick Room up? I think they're pretty dang slim. Oh. You can't KO both Pokemon here, though. The last one is definitely going to be Politoed, though, I think, based off how they've played this. They were just super anti-Trick Room on my end, so, yeah. I mean, I would think you go for the knockout onto the Kling right now, right? With the close combat. I guess the question is actually whether that one-shots us or not. It definitely does. I went for Energy Ball Trick Room. I don't think that's a good play. Unless they switch out into Politoed here, which... Okay. Well, maybe Max Geyser just KOs Kling anyway. I don't mind that switch, though. Is the Urshifu choice, then? That could be the case. I mean, if we get Trick Room up, then we have a much better shot because then Mudsdale looks really good. But yeah, if I actually just click Trick Room on this first turn, given how that first turn played out, I think we would have just won. But it's hard to feel really, really good about that play, given that I know my opponent has, you know, Dhelmise potentially in the back. And they go for Airstream, so we even get Trick Room up. Wow. That was kind of bizarre, to be honest, I think, because my opponent had Urshifu out, and you have a Pokemon like in Dynamax, so, like, because you have Urshifu out, you know you get a guaranteed fighting type attack into either of those two Pokemon. So the only explanation I have is that Urshifu's choice, which would make some sense, I think, then. But now we get an Energy Ball off, and we get Trick Room off, which is pretty much the dream. It's not over, though. Because I can't really safely switch in the Mudsdale, which is the problem, actually. Can't safely switch Mudstill in. So I think we have to probably just take the L and say, hey, I'm not going to get the weakness policy off, but it's okay. I'm just going to Energy Ball into Politoed, which I'm sure protects here, and go for a Gear Grind. I need to free switch it into Mudstill right now. Let's see. No Protect, actually. Okay. That actually might be a nice play on my opponent's end, because Politoed doesn't really do anything for my opponent at this point anyway. And actually, this enables a free switch into Urshifu, so actually that's a great decision to just give Politoed up. They Geyser. If this is going to Kling, I think we win, because then it does. Because now we get Mudstill in, and I can self Ice Shard to get the policy off. I guess the question I still have is, what is your item on Urshifu? It's not Life Orb. It could still be Sash, but when I see Thunder Punch, like, it's really... You obviously want Aqua Jet, Surging Strikes, and Close Combat, and given that they swapped Urshifu out previously, it really makes me think that it's like a choice item or an Assault Vest. Because the play I want to go for right now is just Ice Shard into the Urshifu and Max Quake for a KO onto that. That should allow us to survive a Geyser in return from Kingdra, and then Kingdra's max ends. So I'm going to go for this. Actually, could I have just Energy Balled Rockfall? No, well, the fear is if Urshifu Aqua Jets, right? Oh, but what if they just Aqua Jet Geyser into the Mudstill right now? Would that be enough damage to knock us out is the question. If you're Choice Banded, actually probably, now that I think about it, even with the Spadef boost. Oh dear. I should have thought about that a little bit more. Then actually, if +2 Quake knocks out Kingdra, I think we should be targeting Kingdra. But okay, they don't Aqua Jet with Urshifu. I'm really curious what the item was. Yeah, I don't even think the crit onto Urshifu mattered turn 1, to be honest, but... I don't know my Urshifu Thunder Punch calcs too well, to be honest. So we have this Spadef boost. Rain is up, but I'm pretty sure we're surviving a Geyser from Kingdra right now. Let's see. As long as we survive with any bit of HP, we're good. Okay, yeah, that was dangerously close, though, I'm not gonna lie. And that's why it's like, if my opponent actually Aqua Jetted there, we would lose. So, that was maybe not the best play on my end. If they Aqua Jet there, so I mean, I could have changed the weather. I don't know if that would be worth it. I'm just gonna Energy Ball here. There's 2 turns of Trick Room. They need a double protect. And I don't want to Rockfall right now, because that would actually change the weather and knock out the Abomasnow, which would be bad. We don't want that. So their play is to go for a double protect and get it, but they don't even go for a single protect. Interesting. Okay. Well, Mudstill comes out, and that should knock out Kingdra. Nice. Yeah, in this meanwhile, before we look for our next game, I do want to do that Thunder Punch calc. Because I'm really curious. Like, if it were banded, then it wouldn't have even mattered. And based off the fact that Thunder Punch, I'm thinking maybe it was banded. But let's see. Urshifu into Urshifu. Thunder Punch. Does... how much? Oh, wait. Okay, this is telling me you're only doing 50%. So, the crit definitely mattered in terms of getting a one-hit KO. I honestly think it was banded, and even with the ban, I think you still need the crit. Yeah, so that was definitely banded. Banded crit Thunder Punch does 110%. Huh. Yeah, I mean, when Thunder Punch came out, I was like, there's no way it one-shots us, right? But yeah, even if it were banded, and if it doesn't crit there, it only does 88 maximum. So that's super interesting. Okay. Last match of the day, or maybe we'll play one more depending on how quick this one goes. Duraludon. So, unfortunately, not another, like, subpar episode for Dedenne, or not episode. Like, we got a great first game with it, but it doesn't feel great here because my opponent has the Amoonguss, which I think definitely comes out. Amoonguss. You are one tricky guy. Part of me wants to lead a Abomasnow Mudstill and just go aggro immediately. But that might be a little too aggressive. Because it's like, one approach I can go with in this game is just set up Trick Room, but then Amoonguss gives us a lot of trouble under Trick Room. And I think Amoonguss comes out from my opponent here. The only question is whether you lead it or not. I kind of want to try out Abomasnow Mudstill. We haven't led it yet. It actually, I think, makes a decent amount of sense in this game. If it doesn't work out, well, then we'll know that it's not a great option. But let's go with this. we haven't gone with this mode yet, and I think anytime you're playing with a new team and you're unfamiliar with it, it's good to just try out all the different modes. The nice thing about this is that it just puts on maximum pressure turn 1 damage rise. I am mixing up all my words today. It maximizes damage output right from turn 1. And the reason is because, I mean, Dedenne puts on a lot of offensive pressure as well, but it's also relatively frail. I never feel that confident with it because it's just, you know, naturally has pretty bad defensive stats. Whereas Mudsdale is really, really good in terms of when you Dynamax it. Now, obviously, it's going to take a lot of damage from special attacks, but my opponent's team is a little bit more on the physical end. I guess there's the Rotom Wash and the Duraludon. Duraludon I'm not as worried as much about, but the Rotom could be scary. But it's Grimmsnarl Arcanine, which I don't mind. I guess part of the problem here, though, is that my opponent could just go for Will-O-Wisp onto Mudsdale turn 1. Now, there is Inner Focus, so we don't get intimidated, which is quite nice here. But I guess the Dedenne actually would have been great here because I could just Dynamax Starfall turn 1. So the question is whether you just WoW into Mudsdale. I feel like that's like pretty likely if you have it. I could go for a double switch here. I mean, these two are pretty great Pokemon to switch into. Yeah, I don't think I want to get burnt this early on, because Mudsdale is the Pokemon we're maxing here. So let's go out into Urshifu in this slot, which then pressures Arcanine for a KO next turn, and go out into Arcanine in the other slot. And then I don't think my opponent really has great switch-ins into Surging Strikes. Oh, they switch out, though. Braviary? Rotom. Okay. Well, that's good, because I could have gotten baited into, like, Quaking into that slot, so at least that doesn't happen. However, we don't have much damage against Rotom. Like, Rotom is really good against everything we've brought. But it's not like Dedenne is the solution to it either, I guess. I feel like Amoonguss has to be the last one, because otherwise, what was the Trick Room answer here? But maybe it was kind of a hard call out of my opponent's end, saying, I don't think you're going to go Trick Room. That makes sense. Okay, Grimmsnarl Reflex. So we can obviously crit through the Reflex. We have AV on Arcanine, so I'm leaning towards Surging Strikes into Grimmsnarl. And it's Goggles Rotom. Huh. Goggles Rotom. That's interesting. So you have Reflect up. Do you Dynamax Rotom here is the question, and just Max Lightning? Because I could switch out, hard switch into Mudsdale here, but they might just Geyser into Arcanine anyway. If they Geyser into Arcanine, I switch out, then I'm doomed. And I feel like you should respect the switch. So yeah, I'm actually going to just Surging Strikes here and Snarl. The special attack drop is nice, plus we have the AV. Oh, Scary Face Grimmsnarl again! Into Urshifu, okay. I wonder what Scarf if we still outspeed Rotom, depending on how fast Rotom is, but nice tech. Ah. Seems like this is getting a lot more common. That's interesting. Yeah, we're still faster because we have Choice Scarf. Okay, nice. Well, that's nice. Can we KO Grimmsnarl? Answer is going to be no, unfortunately. Even with the Surging Strikes crits. Grimmsnarl is just a pretty bulky Pokemon. But I'll take that turn, I guess. They did go for T-Bolt, so like, yeah, Mudsdale switch out there would have been great. But because of the Snarl, at least we survived, which is nice. I really wonder now if you predict the Mudsdale switch out this next turn. Abomasnow is a pretty easy switch in here for me, though, I think. Because the Rotom's not going to do much damage against it, even if you Scary Face. So let's actually go out into Abomasnow, I think, and just go for another Snarl. By conserving Urshifu, too, it means we have a late game Surging Strikes against Arcanine, and that's just such a good late game win con. So, once again, you can see the value of Choice Scarf, where it's like even after -2 speed, we still just outspeed anyway. This might go on to Arcanine this time around. Wouldn't be too surprised. Yep. Okay. It is nasty plot, Tom. But I think that's fine, because now I have a Abomasnow out, and, like, you're at neutral, right? So I can just Energy Ball you. I'm not really that scared. Even if you Dynamax Rotom? Like, so now the question is, does Rotom have Protect? I think the answer is probably. Like, why wouldn't you have Protect? But we know it's Safety Goggles, so it can't really heal up. There's no Citrus Berry or anything. So I think it's likely you... I think what we want to do is Energy Ball here and switch Arcanine out into Urshifu. Because I think here Rotom either protects or you protect and switch out into the Arcanine. Or you just attack. If you attack, then I get an energy ball off. That's a ton of damage. Rotom actually switches out into Braviary. Okay. So Blizzard would have been really nice there. Fortunately, I didn't go for that. Okay, I wasn't expecting that, but I think that's actually a really smart switch because my opponent recognizes if they lose Rotom, they kind of just get wrecked by the Mudsdale. So I think that's a great switch there on their end. So Blizzard would have been really nice there, but it's really hard to go for that. Okay. So I know I have Focus Action intact still. Rotom's already taken a lot of damage. I mean, ideally I want to conserve Urshifu so I could close combat in the late game. But maybe I can just close... I mean, I do have Rock Slide here, so like, I could just Blizzard and Rock Slide. I think that's a decent option, because if you Scary Face, you have to double up to KO the Urshifu. If you expand that much effort to KO it, then I get a Blizzard off, I get a ton of damage off. But it might have been correct to save Urshifu for the late game in this matchup. I haven't seen Safety Goggles Nasty Plot Rotom though, that's pretty interesting. Obviously Goggles helps out against Amoonguss, but... Okay, they're gonna commit the max to Braviary, which I think is smart. Yeah, because it means they'll survive this now. What could be really scary is if they have Rockfall, which I think is likely on the Braviary, because then you change the weather. Scary Face is such a good tech on Grimmsnarl. Okay, they're gonna go for it here, no surprise. Onto the Urshifu. So let's see if they doubled up into that slot. It's gonna be Airstream. Yeah. Oh, but here's the problem now. I can't bring an Arcanine, can I? Because if I bring an Arcanine, I'm just gonna activate the Defiant. So I have to go out into Mudsdale. Okay, pretty good damage on a Braviary. I mean, it's going to be in KO range from a Rockfall, I think. I mean, the upside is that our Dynamax is stronger, right? Hail stops, which also hurts a little bit. I can't go into Arcanine. I have to go into Mudsdale. I could have... Could I have switched out there? No, I don't really feel great about switching out there. So I think we have to sack it. Yeah, I'm good switch into the Rotom. Okay. This turn is interesting. Obviously, Rotom's gonna want a Geyser into Mudsdale. I have Energy Ball. Oh, but screens are up, so it's not like I would survive anyway. So, I mean, the play I want to go for is Ice Shard into the Mudsdale. Actually, then the question is, does Rockfall KO Rotom? Or do we switch Abomasnow out? I don't think Rockfall KOs Rotom, that's the problem. So I'm targeting Braviary instead, but this doesn't feel good. I think Rotom matches up pretty nicely against us, and my opponent played this nicely too. Maybe what I've actually should have considered was Dynamaxing Abomasnow. But then how do we beat Arcanine in the late game? I don't really think we do. Yeah, the Scary Face tech was super, super neat. And the great awareness by my opponent to just hard switch Rotom in that position earlier. I mean, I'm thinking we survive at least the Hydro Pump, especially if you're Nasty Plot. Or the reason I was thinking you would survive is because I think... sorry, not Nasty Plot alone, but the fact that it's not, like, Life Orbed. Oftentimes, players who run Nasty Plot like to run, like, max HP and max speed. So, I don't know. Let's see. Either way, they didn't double up in slot, so we should survive. And they miss Hydro Pump. Oh, that's really unfortunate. Let's see if this KOs. If it does, I mean, that's... Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's just a huge miss, no matter how you put it. And that puts us in a much better spot now. So then the question is basically, is Hydro Pump a 2-hit KO? I'm thinking probably yes, so I think my opponent definitely played better in this one, but we get the lucky miss here in the end. It's not over yet, but I think now Mudsdale is just in a fantastic spot where I can just one-shot the opposing Arcanine and Snarl. But yeah, it's still not over. My opponent could still definitely win this, but that definitely, you know, feels bad. But that's the downside of Rotom. Speaking from experience. Okay. So they get Intimidate off first, so the Arcanine is probably going to be faster here. Rotom has that speed boost too, so it's going to be outspeeding our Arcanine. I do have E-Speed, so I actually think the play might be... We have 2 turns of Dynamax left. Obviously, we can get Spadef boost with Max Quake. Rotom hasn't revealed Protect yet, I believe. But I don't think it'd be protecting here. If I'm my opponent, I'm probably, what, Will-O-Wisping? And Hydro Pumping? So, I don't really feel the need to E-Speed. I think just Snarl here and Quake is fine. Yeah. Let's see how much Hydro Pump does. Because if it's under 50%, then I actually don't think it matters too much. They actually go for Nasty Plot, which is also smart. But I think that's fine. They have Bulldoze, okay. I think it's fine because we bring the Rotom to +1. I actually really like that play, though. I think it's, yeah, good to go for Nasty Plot instead of Hydro Pumping, because then my opponent's setting themselves up for a Rotom endgame, and we do miss the Snarl, which actually might make a difference, but, you know what, I'm, like, obviously I can't complain, given that we dodged the Hydro earlier. Although if we got the Snarl off and with the Max Quick Boost, we'd effectively just be back at, like, neutral. Okay, we KO Arcanine. So now the question is, does the Rotom have Protect? I mean, I'd be really surprised if it didn't, right? Because Nasty, Hydro Pump, Thunderbolt, Protect is the standard moveset. So it will be able to get a +1 Hydro Pump against us later, but we have not revealed Protect yet either. This turn, I'm just going to go on the offense. I don't think there's a point in Snarling, because if Rotom's attacking, I think E-Speed Rockfall would KO Rotom anyway. I do think Rotom's just going to Protect here. So this is down to the wire. Maybe that miss didn't end up mattering, but we'll have to see. Yeah, I would think Rotom Hydro Pump is a 2-hit KO onto Mudsdale, though, so I don't know, I feel like it's a question of how invested the Rotom is in special attack. Either way, though, it's exciting to use Mudsdale so much again. This Pokemon was super, super good in the earlier weeks of the format. No Protect! Huh. Okay, that did, like, negative damage, though. We do survive the Hydro. So that's where, yeah, if they hit earlier, obviously, this next one would have just been a KO. So, yeah, I would say it definitely made a difference. Okay. Rotom should be an E-Speed KO. I mean, now we have 2 Pokemon that can hit Rotom. Rotom can't knock out both of our Pokemon, so, yeah, that's a big miss. But the reality is that my opponent would have to hit multiple Hydro Pumps to win this game. And so, with each Hydro Pump, the odds go down. But I still think they played this really, really smartly. Yeah, we can just E-Speed and Heavy Slam now. Yeah, I thought they played it really smartly. I think they baited out the attacks quite nicely from my end. And, you know, got a little bit lucky here in the end. Nasty Plot Rotom we haven't gone up against in a while as well. And, you know, I could have made a really big move off reading in the switch-in when Rotom switched out. But I thought it was likely Arcanine was going to switch in there and Rotom was going to, like, potentially even Dynamax. So I didn't want to risk that. But really great Rotom switch out. And once again, great awareness because you can see if Rotom goes down in that matchup, Mudsdale just kind of 3v1s the rest of the team. So... you know, screen setup made it difficult to get damage off. I didn't feel that great about Trick Room, but they ended up not having Amoonguss, so if I were to replay that, maybe one route we could have gone with was just set up Trick Room. Although, with Rotom, I don't know, Rotom does put on a lot of pressure. If it gets a single Nasty Plot off, we're in danger, right? So, like, the Snarl from the AV Arcanine was super, super important to at least counteract that. But, yeah, I think, you know, if my opponent just hits that first Hydro and then connects on the second one as well, Mudsdale goes down, and we don't really have a shot at winning. So, I think, you know, games like this, it's always good to acknowledge, did I get a little bit lucky? Yeah, and then the question is, what could I have done better to not be in a position where I needed to get lucky? And let's see, for this game, it was tough, to be honest, because they positioned themselves in really, really nicely. One play I could have made instead of the just Ice Shard Quake was protect the Mudsdale, Energy Ball into the Rotom. The problem, though, is that with screens being up, I don't really think that does enough damage anyway. But at least then I would have... Well, let's actually see how much Energy Ball does there. It's just with screens up. I mean, Rotom was at, like, what, 70%-ish? Energy Ball actually does a ton. Wait, hold on. If you're just, like, max HP, even with screens up... it does 54 to 65 or 64. So, and let's see if you're not max HP. it would do 68 to 80. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it was a fair assumption to think that Energy Ball isn't doing enough there. But yeah, I think the problem is if I protect Mudsdale in that position, my opponent doubles up into a Bulbasaur, then the game is just instantly lost, and I didn't want to leave it to a potential read like that. Because that would be, like, disastrous. While we're here, actually, let me calc how much Hydro does into Mudsdale. We saw how much that first one did, so... But I don't remember exactly. I just want to see the numbers here. Dynamax, non-AV. If it's modest max special attack, which often you're not going to be, it's 49 to 58%. And if you don't have any special attack investment, it's actually less than 50%. So, yeah. But the Nasty Plot was really smart in the end there. I mean, the biggest question I have to ask is, like, if all the moves connect, like, if Hydro hits both times, but then I also hit the Snarl there, then does any of this really matter? I think my opponent's probably still in a more favorable position. So, without knowing the Rotom spread, it's kind of tough because that actually does make a big difference. But, yeah, I think if all the moves end up hitting here, they probably do win this game. And I needed to make sure Mudsdale just doesn't take as much damage. So, yeah. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. Glad to get another great game with Dedenne in, but Mudsdale also carried us in these last 2 matches, so we'll take it. So, thanks as always for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Don't forget to check out that best of 3 against Wolfie earlier today, and don't forget to answer the question of the day as well. Let me know what your favorite Electric-type Pokemon is. Mine, of course, would be our good old friend Rotom-W, who bailed us out a little bit today in this 3rd game. So, yeah. I'll see you guys soon. Alright, peace.